Hello everyone, this is Persephone, and today we're going to talk about one of the cancers in the femdom community, aka the imposed by very big conversation. If I had $1 every time someone mentioned imposed by, I would be a multi-millionaire. And of course, I don't mind talking about it or sharing my experience or my perspective, but in this case, I'm going to share with you something that is so wrong that for me it's a deal breaker. It's something that 3 people blocked me today. Yes, 3, because of what I said. And in the very protective spirit of making people who hate you more, we're going to analyze here. First things first, what is imposed by? In the BDSM community and femdom community, it refers to the actions between a mistress and her sub or her sissy that basically have to do with the mistress making the submissive or the sissy engage in practices. I'm going to say practices because it's YouTube, that normally would be something that a bisexual or a homosexual male would want to do. Okay, so it may be something that he has never done before, or something that he has done only very few times in his life, or something that you go from a normal size to the BBC network. You know which network I'm talking about, it's YouTube, and it really greatly depends. Okay, so here is where the problem starts. Personally, I am very big on consent. And because I always like to ask people, I find this very fascinating, where did your fetishes or your kinks come from? Where did they originate? And people give amazing answers. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. In my case, before I became a legal adult and I was able to free myself from all forms of slavery from my narcissistic family, consent was a foreign concept. My consent was never asked for anything. And before you say, well, you were a minor, it's normal for your parents to decide, if it was up to my mother, I would not have any human rights whatsoever for as long as I live. So this is a very big trigger for me, and I never want to force anyone to do anything. So my definition of imposed by is the following. Someone who has been wanting to explore doing the activities that, again, I'm not going to very much like expand on because YouTube, with someone of the same gender or with some toy that resembles a member of the same gender, and they need some encouragement, or they need a gentle push forward, or they just need some guidance, especially when it comes to sissies. You may not even know where to begin. It's overwhelming, you know. There are not many good resources for sissies. So in that case, if you want to explore that and you want me to quote unquote impose in a consensual way still, then that's totally fine, and I'm okay with it, and I'm happy to do it and see the results that we're going to have, because very big part of the excitement is that people are different. You may do the same training with one sissy and get completely different results compared to another one. Or from my experience, there were guys that they told me, I realized thanks to the things that we did or we role play that I'm actually bisexual, or in some case, I'm actually gay. And that's fine, you know? People who have been deprived of their human right to explore their sexuality and their preferences and their identity, that's a way to reclaim it. That's what I do, and in my opinion, that's the healthy version of imposed by. Now we go to the cancerous version. The cancerous version is pretty much sadism, which is something that you're going to say to a person, let's say that they don't want to do it, but you're going to force them, or even worse, blackmail them. I have people who say, do you blackmail your subs to do things? In the past, I have entertained the idea of blackmail fantasies, but the more experienced I get, the more confident I get. I don't have time for these things. Like, if you don't want to do something, me forcing you to do it doesn't give me any pleasure at all. It actually triggers me because it makes my skin crawl, and it triggers all of my massive past trauma of my parents and other extremely abusive people in my life. Because when you have been raised by narcissists, another thing that happens to you is that they put you in harm's way, that you are going to be surrounded by other people who are going to abuse you. So I believe very much that I don't care if you're submissive or a sissy or trans or whatever you identify as, your boundaries matter. So the imposed thing is something that could be sexy roleplay or gentle encouragement or experimentation, or sometimes not exactly pushing your boundaries in an abusive way, asking you some challenging questions that could make you question them yourself. And if you say, no, I'm not okay, that's fine. I'm never going to tell someone to do something they explicitly told me they don't want to do and derive pleasure from it. It makes me want to vomit. I'm never going to do something that is blackmailing another person because blackmail is a felony and derive pleasure from it. If that upsets you, because your 3 inches become 3.5 on a good day thinking that I do these things, it's okay to fantasize anything you want about me. I don't control other people's fantasies. But we are talking, this is a reality check. Also, I want you to start thinking in a few steps ahead. Let's say I am a predator, let's just say, okay, and there is an emotionally vulnerable person, and we have a chat. I'm not even going to say a video or a session or an OnlyFans or anything. We have a chat. And I make them do something they absolutely don't want to do because they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, because you have no idea how many people try to contact me and other people in the scene when they have plied themselves with alcohol and drugs, and I have no way of knowing that. And then the next day they wake up, they regret, they have huge internal conflict, worse things than regret can happen that, again, YouTube doesn't let me talk about. And then there is an investigation and they find the text where I forced them to do things against their will. Welcome to the federal prison, Persephone. We have been expecting you. So because I don't want any international police unit chasing me, and because I have no way of knowing what's in each person's psyche, I steer very far away from playing with fire like that. Again, if that's not your thing, I respect it. If you want to find people who are risk takers and they want to impose, or if you want to find people who are sadists in the sick, twisted sense of way, then you can go do it. I believe that if you are an adult and the other person is a consenting adult, then the problem goes away from me and into you. Personally, it got so bad that I have to make this video, and every time someone asks me, but yeah, have you forced anyone to do anything? I'm just going to be sending them this video because I'm sick and tired of explaining myself. And I find it deeply disturbing that if you even assume we got to this point that I'm this type of person. Let me tell you, the things that I like to do, most of them you wouldn't even think about it. And it has to do, if I say that I'm going to pay someone back, in my entire life, maybe there is a handful of people, okay, I would say maybe 10, that I'm going to get them back even if it takes 1,000 years. But to a person that has done nothing wrong to me, that they're already feeling insecure about their sexuality, their identity, they probably have poor boundaries as well, and they come to me, for me to just abuse that for $100, $200. Come on. Sometimes we need a reality check. One of the reasons that almost no one takes people with fetishes and the BDSM seriously is this attitude that, oh wow, lack of consent is sexy. Lack of consent is a crime. You need a psychiatrist, and again, fantasy is not reality. There are people that you can watch a drama. I've watched dramas with extremely problematic plots in the past. For example, Korean dramas. I used to watch a drama recently about a guy who had multiple personality disorder. That we don't call it that like that. We call it dissociative identity disorder. And there was a psychiatrist that she fell in love with him, and some of the personalities abused her. Okay, this is entertaining to watch if you're working out or if you're eating, but in reality, it would be highly unprofessional for the psychiatrist to fall for the patient, for her to be in a relationship with someone abusive, for him to try to be in a relationship when he has multiple personalities, and so on. So whatever you like to fantasize or to write fan fiction, it's a totally different thing. I may exist in your screen, but I'm not a character. I'm a human and I have to stay out of jail. And if you ever want to do something like that, make sure that you have spent some time with the mistress or the master that you chose, and you have discussed boundaries and consent explicitly, and that at any point you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to stop. If you want to have safe words, have safe words. That doesn't mean that because you committed to doing something, if you feel bad, you cannot stop. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, okay? Thank you for watching.